Pivot tables are a great tool. They are the easiest way to quickly summarize Excel data in a large list. Sometimes you need to recreate the same pivot table report more than once. There is a great hidden pivot table tool called the Filter Pages Report. This feature will create separate pivot tables based upon the field you add to the pivot table report filter section. Let's try it. I have a list that shows this week's sales for each of my reps. I need to create a summary for each rep that shows the items they sold, their total sales, and what their commissions will be for the week. The easiest way to do this is by using a pivot table. I'm going to use the recommended pivot table feature to get started. To find this, I'm going to click on the Insert tab and choose Recommended Pivot Tables. Each region has one sales rep. I'm going to select the sum of commission by region report. It's not perfect, but it's close enough that I can tweak it to get what I want. So I'm going to go ahead and select it and click on OK. Now I get a pivot table on a new sheet. I'm going to go ahead and fix this to get what I want. So first I'm going to add the items, and I'm also going to add total price that each salesperson sold along with the commissions. So now I have the sum of commissions, the sum of items, and the sum of totals. Right now it's showing everything by region. I actually don't want it to show it by region. I'd rather see it by product. So I'm going to select product, and that'll automatically put it in the row section of the pivot table. And then under the row section, I'm going to click on region and drag it out. So now I have a pivot table that shows each product that was sold, the commission that each salesperson received, the sum of the items, and the sum of the total. The sum of commissions, sum of items, and sum of total, as soon as I selected them over here in the pivot table fields, because they're a value, it automatically put them in the values section, and it assumes that I just want to total everything. One thing I also want to do is I would like the commission to be last. So I'm just going to click on that field in the values section and drag it to the end. Once I let go, now it changes the order where I have the sum of the items, the sum of the total, and the sum of the commissions. All right, in order to create a separate pivot table for each sales rep, what I'm going to do is go over to my pivot table fields, find sales rep, and I'm going to drag that field to the filter section. What that does is it adds what's called a report filter to the top of the pivot table. And I could use this by clicking on the drop down and just selecting one salesperson and clicking OK. And now I can see a pivot table for this Patrice Green, and it shows what she sold that week, how many, what the current sales were for each thing she sold, and then what her commission's going to be. I want to do the same pivot table for every single sales rep. So I'm going to switch this back to all. And then if I look up at my pivot table tools, I'm under the Analyze section. And in the far left-hand side, there's a section called Pivot Table Options. If I click on the little drop-down next to Options, there's a choice called Show Report Filter Pages. If I click on that, what it's going to do is say Show All Report Filter Pages for each sales rep. Once I click OK, it automatically creates a pivot table for each sales rep. This is Gina with this month's tip. For more information about our company, visit officeproductivitytraining.com.